Hey guys, today I'm going to show you a very easy way to keep your kitchen knives sharp with the HORL knife sharpener. Let's find out more. Now I've done on this channel a video on the WorkSharp Precision Adjust, which is another fairly easy knife sharpener. If you've seen that video, you might want to skip this coming part because again, I'm going to give a very basic and quick introduction to knife sharpening. And while if you haven't seen the video, you can also do that by clicking over here. So let's start with what is sharpening, and it's simply the process of removing or shaving off metal from a knife. This is quite different from honing, which uses something like this, a honing steel or a honing rod. And this simply is to maintain an edge or realign it, which gets bent over time. Honing is something you can do every day. It does not damage your knife, it simply realigns that edge. Whereas sharpening is something you do less frequently because at the end of the day, you're shaving off material from your knife. And you only do that when the edge becomes dull. And how do you sharpen a knife? Well, there are a lot of different methods out there, but probably the most basic and the most common is to use a whetstone, something like this, which is simply a rough stone with different grit levels or coarseness. This one is 6,000 and 1,000 grit on either side, and essentially you slide your knife on the coarse stone to shave off the metal and recreate that sharp edge. Except using a whetstone is not very straightforward. It's not easy actually, and requires a lot of practice and has a steep learning curve. And that's because when you sharpen the knife on a whetstone, you have to place the knife at the same angle of that edge. And yes, knives do have angles, and that's simply the angle at which the edge is created. Now for kitchen knives, that's usually between 15 and 20 degrees, depending on whether it's a Western or Eastern style knife. But the best way to know the edge of your angle is to check your manufacturer's website. They often list the edge in the product page. So back to the whetstone and why it is a bit difficult to master, because you need to place the knife at that correct angle of 15 or 17 or 20 degrees, maintain consistent and the right amount of pressure while sliding the knife back and forth on each side. And that takes a lot of practice to master. Now, if you are serious about knives in the kitchen, I definitely recommend you try to master that. This will give you the best and sharpest results. But if you do not plan to invest a lot of time into learning how to sharpen on a whetstone, then you're probably looking for a much simpler way to sharpen the knives. And I don't think it gets any simpler than using something like the HORL. Now, before I show you how the HORL works, a few misconceptions about sharpening and possibly why a lot of people don't sharpen their knives. First reason I hear a lot is because a sharp knife is quite dangerous in the kitchen. And actually, the inverse of that statement is true. One of the most dangerous things you can have in a kitchen is a dull knife. And that's because with a dull knife, you're relying on brute force to cut, and food might slip and you might cut yourself. Whereas with a sharp knife, you're relying on the sharpness of that edge to slice through food, gives you more precision, more control, and better results. Another reason I hear some people purchase expensive knives and they think, I have an expensive knife, I don't need to sharpen it. That's also false. It's pure physics. The more you use the knife, the more you cut, the edge is going to become blunt. Granted, it might last much longer depending on the knife, the quality of the knife, the angle, and the material of the knife, but at some point in time, the knife will become dull. That's just a fact. You will need to sharpen it. So back to the HORL, and it's simply these two units. The first one is a base with two angles, 15 degrees on one side and 20 degrees on the other. And the second part is this rolling thing with discs on both sides. You have a diamond disc for sharpening on this side and a ceramic one on the other side for honing. This specific model has removable discs, so you can actually remove those discs, replace them, but also HORL sells additional discs with different grits and coarseness, which you can buy. They do have a model which is, I believe, called the Cruise, which does not have removable discs, and I believe only comes with one angle on the base. So for the sake of this review, I'm going to be talking about this specific model with the removable discs and the two angles. And remember I said it does not get any simpler than using the HORL? Well, all you need to do is decide, are you using the 15 or the 20 degree angle? This is a magnetic base, so you put the knife magnetically over here. It's going to consistently give you that angle which you chose. take the roller, start with a diamond disc, and simply roll. And that's all. The magnetic base is holding the knife consistently at that angle, and you're simply rolling, shaving, sharpening with zero learning curve. It really doesn't get any simpler than that. Now, while simplicity is great, does it actually work? And yeah, it does. I resisted the temptation of sharpening my chef's knife for quite some time until it became somewhat dull, and as you can see from the paper cutting test, it's not cutting through the paper smoothly or as smooth as it should. And then I sharpened it on the HORL, as you can see. As I said, you start with a diamond disc, set the knife at the correct angle, and start sharpening from heel to tip. And it's important to do the same amount of runs on both sides equally. Either count how many runs you do, or what I'd like to do is set a timer, 3-4 minutes per side. When the timer is done, switch the knife to the other side, repeat the process for the same amount of time, and then when you're done, you should have raised the burr, which you can actually see. Wipe the knife off and then put it back on the same angle. Flip the HORL to use the other side, so the ceramic disc, which is going to help you hone and deburr or get rid of that burr. You don't need to run the ceramic disc for a long time, just a couple of passes on each side. And as you can see from the paper test, it is razor sharp, cutting through the paper like butter. After sharpening, I cut some vegetables, and I'm going to be showing some B-roll of those. Mushrooms, soft vegetable, but super easy to cut, as you can see in the B-roll. And then I chopped some onions, and you can see that the knife is simply slicing through the onions like butter. The ultimate test for me for a sharp knife is cutting tomatoes, because if the knife is not sharp enough, it's not going to cut through the tomato skin smoothly. And as you can see, it is cutting very smoothly with absolutely no effort through the tomato. You can make very thin slices, and it's just slicing through the tomato effortlessly. So here are my thoughts on the HORL. In terms of ease of use, I don't think I've ever tried anything as easy as the HORL, with results as good as the HORL. I'm not a fan of pull-through sharpeners. These might be easier, but I'm not a fan of those. But anything beyond pull-through sharpeners, the HORL is the easiest with literally zero learning curve. Now, is it going to give you the best results, the sharpest knife? No. But is it good enough? Well, it's more than good enough. As you saw from the cutting tests, it restored the edge to really awesome sharp levels with minimum effort. So I would say this: if you're serious about the kitchen, do learn how to sharpen on a whetstone. But if you don't plan to invest a lot of time into learning how to use a whetstone, then definitely consider the HORL. Really easy to use and pretty good results. Or if you're like me, who does use a whetstone to sharpen his knives, but sometimes you just want a quick and easy touch-up on a knife, that's when I use the HORL. It's always within arm's reach, and whenever I don't have the time or the energy to use my whetstone, I simply do touch-ups on the HORL, and I've been more than happy. Now, that's not to say it is perfect. There are a couple of things I don't like. First off, it is a bit annoying with smaller knives. You can still sharpen them, but smaller knives are a bit more annoying to sharpen on the HORL. The second thing is, if you have a dull knife, it's going to take a lot of time to sharpen on the HORL. It took over 10 minutes per side on one of my duller knives, and that's because the diamond disc is not coarse enough, and that wasn't a very pleasant exercise. I did get tired after repeating the process over 10 minutes per side. Now, HORL does sell different discs in a coarser diamond disc, so if you do get the HORL with the removable discs, you can always upgrade to a coarser disc, which would probably give you better results, but these are expensive. I haven't tried them, but I would imagine you get better and faster results with those. And lastly, what I don't particularly like about this is that it's not cheap. I will put links in the description, so check those out to see the price at the moment you're watching the review, but it's not cheap. The build quality is great. It works and it's very simple. So if you're willing to invest the money, give it a try, but it is not cheap. One last thing I do want to say, I've seen a lot of different or very similar models in the market. From what I can tell, they're all a copy of the HORL. There's even one that's quite famous, and you see their Instagram ads everywhere. And after a bit of research, it would appear that they have copied the HORL. And after looking at some tests even, the HORL is significantly better. The magnets are much stronger. The build quality is better. It rolls much smoother. Well, all the advantages you would get from the original brand versus a knockoff. Now, I have not tested the other models out there. I've just seen others who have. And from my understanding, at least the ones that look identical to the HORL, well, they're all copies of the HORL. Again, I'll put links in the description. Do check them out to see the price at the moment you're watching this review. And if you do decide to purchase the HORL, I would appreciate if you would use the links. These are affiliate links, and I may earn a small commission on some purchases, which would help support the channel. That's all for now. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. And as always, if you like the video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, as this encourages me to continue producing content. Until next time, cheers.